listen, there are few things in life as beautiful as a loaf of sourdough. Look at that. But you might be too scared to make it from scratch. Today we're teaching you sourdough the easy way, presenting all the shortcuts and sorting through all the myths. It's straight from a sourdough expert. Scott Hutchins is joining me in the Studio 5 kitchen. It's great to meet you, sir.
Well, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
I understand your journey to sourdough was somewhat unexpected.
It really was. It all started because my mom made me a loaf of sourdough bread, and having grown up in San Francisco, I was such a big fan. I thought, this is as good as the San Francisco stuff. You got to show me how to make this. And she tried to explain it to me, and of course, like everyone else, I kind of tuned it all out because it was too complicated. Until I finally said, I'm ready to learn. And I decided I became a big fan and really dialed in. So.
Well, first a fan, now a master. You do classes, you teach women everywhere how to master this, I guess men too. And along the way, you debunk some myths. And I want to jump into that because myth number one is this idea that managing your starter, as it's called, I'm a novice here, you're gonna have to teach me all the terms, but it's complicated, it's confusing. Yeah,
well, like I said, when my mom first told me about how to make this bread, she started explaining how the starter works. And you know, and people hear it's a living thing. And I immediately tuned her out. I said, just keep making me more bread. And I found, since I've been teaching these classes, that so many people feel the exact same way. They go, it's too complicated. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's very simple. There's a simple way of managing that, and that's what I'm going to show people how to do. It doesn't have to rule your life.
Okay, next myth, making sourdough bread involves a lot of rules and many steps.
That's the thing, it does. If you go online and you read any of these websites, you'll find that there's so many steps you have to go in order, and if you miss one of those steps, you screw up the whole thing.
They make it sound like you need a PhD.
Yes, exactly. And so what I've done, because I've had to make so much bread in my own little kitchen, I had to come up with some processes and systems to simplify the whole process, and so I've broken all the rules.
Okay, will you show us how you prep the dough?
Yeah, so imagine you make your dough. It's really simple. It's 3 ingredients, flour, water, and salt, of course the starter. And then all I do is I let it rest in the fridge. And now I'm gonna get it ready for the bulk rise. And so I'm just gonna stretch this out a little bit because we've worked this dough out when we first made it. And now I'm gonna do one final workout. I'm just gonna stretch it a little bit.
How long had it sat before?
So after I made the dough, I put it right in the fridge overnight.
Overnight, okay.
And let's say the next day you want to get it ready for the bulk rise to bake. Well, then you do this process here. But if something comes up and you don't have time to do it, then let it sit in the fridge for another day or 2 or 3 and you're fine.
It can wait.
You won't screw it up. So I just shape it into a ball like this, and all I do, and this is where I start using my systems, I just drop it into a simple bowl like this, put a lid on it, and I leave it on my counter for the next 7 or 8 hours. Let it do its thing. And it rises into this.
Look how beautiful,
And now it's ready to bake.
That's it.
So can I show you what I do from here?
Please, yeah.
So all I do, and I've created my own system, how do you get this out of this bowl here and get it into the oven? Well, I just sprinkle a little bit of flour on here. It's the only time we're gonna add any flour to this dough.
That's the only time?
It's the only time. It's a very wet dough, and it's important that it stays nice and wet. So I'm just gonna show you my little process for doing this.
My gosh, you're making me feel like I might be able to do this.
I think you can. I've dummy-proofed this, and it's really, really is quite simple. You kind of let gravity do its thing, and this kind of drops down. And then all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to slide it into this little basket. I only use the basket here to shape it. And I bring it to a close, pinch it. And it takes all of these different steps, and it turns it into one step here, and it's just so simple. And now, I'm ready to shape it. I put a little silicone sheet on there because I'm going to bake it on the silicone sheet. And all I'm going to do now is just shape this.
Flour side is now up.
Strategically. And I'm going to do a little scoring on it. And the first one I do is just purely for decoration. It's a little leaf pattern. You can see it's really simple. And after you practice this a little bit, you get really good at it. So it's a nice little leaf pattern. And you don't have to do this. I just do it for design. But the one you do have to do is a deep cut like this.
Why do we have to do that?
Well, if I put this in the oven as it is, it's going to expand. And as it expands, it's going to decide where it wants to split. And I don't want that to happen because it'll look like a big earthquake went through it. So I'm telling it where I want it to expand. And that's where it's going to expand. And when I put this in the oven, it's going to roll over, and it's going to leave all of this alone, and it'll be beautiful. And it turns out looking a lot like.
Look at that. Beautiful.
You can see that deep cut I made here?
Yes.
And that's what that turns into.
Yes. Okay, one more myth. Bust forth. If I decide to make sourdough bread, I'll need to quit my job and say goodbye to my family.
It's true.
It's going to consume all my energy.
Well, that's what everyone thinks. But because I've had to create so many systems and processes, in making the dough and the bread, I've eliminated so many of those steps, and there's so much wiggle room. If you can't get to it on one day, you leave it in the fridge and get to it when you can.
It works out.
It just works out.
And I didn't mean to rush us through the starter. Anything else to add about the starter that might calm people's nerves?
Yeah, you don't have to feed it every day. If you go online and you look at some of these websites, people think they have to manage it like a child. They have to feed it every day. They have to talk to it nicely and play.
Whisper sweet nothing?
Yes, totally. And this is not true. It's extremely hardy stuff.
Okay.
And it's almost impossible to kill. So, yeah.
You're a great teacher. Your passion is contagious, but also I think your confidence is calming. So well done, sir.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Where can we learn more about your classes?
Well, if you go to my Instagram page, which is at Scott's Bread, pretty simple, Scott's Bread. All the information there is on my classes. I teach classes all up and down the Wasatch Front. And so I love getting together with big groups of people and doing group classes. So just hit me up and let me know if you want to do a class.
Now, tell the truth. Do you still enjoy eating sourdough?
Well, look at me, yeah. I love this stuff. I love this, but I still can't get enough of it.
Good, good.
So, yeah.
That's proof of the passion. Thank you so much, sir. Great to meet you.
Hey,
you did a great job. We'll link you over to his Instagram from our website if you're interested in those sourdough classes.